We're no strangers to a live action adaptation at this point. It feels like Hollywood is obsessed of just doing the same thing over and over, and this has been something that Netflix hasn't hesitated to capitalize on with live action adaptations of anime. So we've had quite a few of these now, and mostly people agree they've been quite unsuccessful until 2023's One Piece. And sure, I've got to wonder why they just make this stuff instead of trying to get the anime onto their platform. But I digress, it's here, it exists. Nothing we can do about it. And so Netflix are attempting to adapt an anime of over 1,000 episodes into a series that drops 8 episodes at this point every 3 years. I'm sure that'll go just fine.
It is absolutely mind-blowing that they're doing an anime that's so massive. Like, it has grown over the years in popularity with the anime, but with the manga. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of One Piece, and One Piece means so much to me in terms of world building with the characters. It's a very political manga that explores how history are told by the winners. But we're not going to talk about the deep lore of One Piece right here, because I would love to, but that would be at least 2 weeks to talk about the whole thing. This is the live action. And I have to say, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it because there was another anime adaptation that was made by Netflix, and that was Cowboy Bebop. Look what they done to my boy. That's how I feel with that.
This is your time to shine, John. I
Yes,
feel like you've been waiting for this.
I was like, how do I get Tom onto One Piece? It is long. For
It's
me,
so long.
it's a great story, but it's just like, how do I get people onto this?
This is the Out of Time Film Podcast, where your hosts Tom and John discuss everything from blockbuster films to TV and games like there's no tomorrow.
As previously stated, we've got 8 episodes in this season rather than. So, first question from me: how many episodes of the anime does this 8 episode season cover?
So the anime, I believe, covered 36 episodes. Well, I could be wrong, or 40 episodes
Right.
of this entire arc. And then in the manga, I think it was 90 chapters that they covered.
Wow.
This is in 1997, guys, where Oda, the author of One Piece, he was like 17 years old, and he was like, I'm just gonna write a small story. It was originally planned to be over in 5 years. He was like, yeah, I'll maybe continue it. And then we got 1,000 chapters. It's incredible.
29 years later, here we are.
Here we are.
So, would you say these 8 episodes do justice to those 36, 40 episodes of the show, the 90 chapters? Is it all the stuff that we find there, or do they also pull in some other stuff from elsewhere? I really enjoyed the structure. To my eyes, we have 4 2-episode arcs, and we also intercut between the origins of the characters, so we get to see them as kids. We start off with Luffy, and then here's my character name test. We start off with Luffy, and then I think the next character we see is Usopp.
Usopp.
Usopp. Fuck! I didn't even get one character through. And then
This is
we
gonna be
get
interesting.
Zoro.
Zoro, great.
Okay.
Fun fact, he's called
Yes.
Zolo in the manga.
Solo. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we get the origin story for the cook, who is called
Sanji?
Sanji, sure.
Yes.
And then finally we get the origin for I don't know.
Nami? Nami?
We get the see how confident I was when I started. We get the origin story for Nami at the end, and I feel like she's the most mysterious character, so they kind of leave
Yes.
that. But
Yes.
as they learn more about each other, so do we. I thought that was fairly simple but effective as the crew grows and we learn more about the characters. But is that all stuff that is intercut at the same point in the anime and the manga, or is this stuff that
Yes.
they've taken? Okay.
Yes. That's like the tradition of how to you introduce characters. They don't do that a lot of the time with like, hey, here's a character and we just get a whole flashback with them. Tom, there's going to be heartbreaking flashbacks later down the line where I cried. Like, I
Okay.
cried so many times. Not the early stuff, but later on. So, what was so amazing about this show was the cast. How they
Oh.
somehow, in my eyes, they were the characters. I believe Iñaki Godoy was Luffy. At first, I was like, okay, let's see what he's got. And then he was just this whimsical, stubborn, but also he's searching for the dream. That's what he wants to have. But with the other characters, they have so much loyalty towards Luffy. And I love that because he doesn't force them to like be part of the team. You got Zoro, who's just like this serious type of person. woman in this adaptation, and you got Sanji, who is much more of a flirtatious womanizer, trying to flirt with the women. In the manga and anime, he's very perverted.
Wait, are you saying he's worse in the anime and the manga?
Yeah,
Oh,
not too worse, not
okay.
too worse. He just has hot eyes for every woman that he sees. It's like,
Right,
oh my god, a
right,
woman.
right.
That is what he is. That is what he's like.
Oh, good.
And then Nami, brilliant, absolutely brilliant in this. There was so much emotional weight. Emily Wood, she earned it. She earned to be Nami, and she's a huge anime fan as well. And then we've got Usopp, who is this boisterous storyteller, like he's done everything, but he's just so insecure. He has emotionally insecure feelings about himself, like how he's going to do everything. So to me, the cast is just perfect, absolutely perfect in my eyes. I was like, great, this is just wonderful to see. And they have great chemistry. They're just a group of idiots. Like they're just trying to work together, and it's just wonderful to see.
Yeah, I didn't love the show when it started. I think that the first half of this season does struggle. And I think that as you add more members of the crew, the dynamic develops and the performers get a little bit more comfortable. I think the material gets a little bit more comfortable. There's a lot of self-serious dialogue in this that works toward, during the tense scenes and the action scenes because that's when the stakes feel high. But outside of that, especially at the beginning, everyone apart from Luffy still carry the same humorless, kind of annoyingly dry demeanor. And it got really tiring to me. And I really tried to enjoy it as I would like a camp classic or something that's so bad it's good. But I found the acting sometimes wooden and the dialogue often stoic one-liner bullshit. But as it went along, maybe I was just indoctrinated in, but like I kind of began to understand that that's the charm that the show is going for. And I do think that some of the performers, when it starts, are really unconvincing. Like, what's the naval cadet called?
Oh, Kobe?
Kobe. I just thought he was just so one note. And again, I think that's definitely part of the vibe, the kind of caricature elements of anime. And the characters all look good. I mean, I don't know how they look in comparison to their original roles, but it was definitely one of those things where I was just like, okay, I really need to invest myself into the world they're inventing. And in those early episodes where I did struggle, thank God for Luffy. Otherwise, I would not have been interested in these characters. There's a moment in episode 2 where I thought these guys are becoming chummy a little bit too quickly. But you think about Luffy and his sincerity and his optimism, and it inspires other people to do better. And then I'm thinking, hold on. He's Paddington. Luffy is Paddington, but a pirate. He's Piratington. They're the same character. They would get on so well. I need a One Piece Paddington crossover because the same core and ideal of Luffy and Paddington, seeing the good in people, being a nice guy, having optimism, having good manners, helping people out. It's all the same stuff. Just Paddington's antics and Luffy's antics are very different.
Yeah, Luffy would just get into the most unserious of things. You'll see that a lot in the story. But what's interesting when you brought up about Kobe, he was introduced very early on in the original source material, and he didn't have much of a presence in the original. He was like, yeah, I want to be part of the Marine. And we'd see him 6 years later. I'm not kidding. He was first appeared somewhere in 1997. And then in the manga later, like 6 years later, he's there. And you're like, oh my God, I completely forgot about him. I think that they wanted to introduce a character who wanted to reflect Luffy's dream. So like Luffy wants to be king of the pirates and Kirby wanted to be a great marine admiral. So I do see why they wanted to have an A story and a B story. And Garp, this is very interesting.
Who's Garp? You can't just say this. I'm new.
Okay.
I'm new to this.
Okay.
Who the fuck is Garp? This is like Glup Shitto.
No, he's not Glup Shit. He's there. He's one of the most important characters.
He's
in
the Vice Admiral. Okay. So in the manga anime, when we see Kobe, we see him 6 years later. Is that when they come after the defeat of Arlong?
No, because Kobe, as I said, Kobe has much more of a presence in the anime and manga. We only see him in the cover stories. It's 500 chapters later, but yeah, I think they wanted to have a bit more of a presence, like he wanted to be with Garp, and Garp as a mentor as well. Garp also had the same presence as Kobe, because I think they wanted to have like a bit of a mentorship going on. And then what's so funny is that Garp was revealed to be Luffy's grandfather also 6 years later. So, very early on.
Now that was another thing. In episode 3, something clicked. The melodrama of One Piece, the weird dialogue and cringy acting, strange direction. This is a soap opera. It's silly and kind of bad and things that work in anime. It may not translate to live action, but it's just kind of a piratey, fantastical soap opera. It literally is like, the naval commander who's hunting me is actually my grandfather. Or this guy I just met might be the link to seeing my estranged father again. Or the warlord sent to hunt us is the one person I must defeat to become the greatest swordsman of all time. I kind of love it, and maybe it's not as cheesy as I would like it to be. I think if it led into some of that goof, it wouldn't have some tonal issues, but it's got a good heart to it, and I can't help but enjoy how silly it is.
It is very silly. Yes, I agree because this is so silly. This is so dramatic. But what I love is that there is a great tonal shift. Like it can go to the darker side of things, which does happen a lot. It can just switch up anytime and you can get serious with the characters as well. Yeah, I think that was really impressive to keep that spirit of it in live action because I was like, oh my God, how are they going to translate some of the cringy moments or some of the things that we find hilarious in the manga? Like, they're all goofy. Everyone's just so goofy. Another critique I want to talk about, like the goofy side of thing, is Zoro. So, Zoro in the manga and anime, he's just an idiot. He gets lost most of the time, and that's the running joke. So, if you were to talk about Zoro, you have to mention he just gets lost. If you just gave him directions, he'll just like, yes, I know the way, and he would just get lost. He would just end up in the Arctic somewhere. That's how bad he is. But he's also smart as well. Like he can give strong advice towards Luffy, and he's very, very loyal. But in this one, I think he was way too edgy, to be honest. He was way too cool, and I wanted to see a bit of a more lighter side of him. I want season 2 to see a bit more of that because I feel like that's great.
Yeah, he does get lost that one time in episode 4.
Yes.
No, yeah.
Yes.
When he's like, "Oh, I thought I was going back to the house," but it's not very. I wouldn't have thought that was a key character trait of him, but that was one of the reasons why I struggled with those early episodes because Nami and Zoro are so similar in the way that they are edgy and I won't let anyone in, and they're very stoic. Obviously, they contrast with Luffy quite well, but it's not until you get other characters like having 2 straight guys and 1 silly guy. It's like if you had a comedy trio. That's very boring if you have just 2 straight guys and 1 goofy guy. And so I think in order to develop this show, I hope, as you say, it gets more into that. But I think that the core of the show really is what is pirating really about? And we see throughout good and bad pirates, and Luffy just says it's just about having adventures, just about the call of the ocean and having fun. And you can be a pirate and help people and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed that as the core of the show. I think it's part of that heart that it carries. And I don't really know how all these disparate elements at the ending of the show, it's just this huge montage of every character reacting to, I guess spoilers, but reacting to the wanted poster. And are we bringing everyone back? Are we going to see Boogie and Alvida and Big Sword Guy and One-Armed Guy?
Big Sword Guy.
Big Sword Guy. I don't know.
Sword Guy.
I really don't know.
Do you mean Mihawk?
Sure, man. I don't know. You know the guy with the hawk with the you
Yeah,
call him
that's Mihawk.
Yeah, okay,
That's
Mihawk.
Mihawk.
And then the guy with 1 arm as well, who was like Luffy's mentor or whatever.
Yeah, Shanks.
Shanks, yeah. So like we're seeing all these guys. It's like, how are we gonna fold this in? Is season 2 gonna be piling on more new characters while also handling all these old characters? Netflix is no stranger things to shows of too many characters, and I don't want One Piece to become that, especially if we have to wait 3 years for more, because there is a lot of heart here, and if we're now moving towards the Grand Line, it's like, okay, we got to focus on what's happening there and less about people behind us coming back. I can't ask you because you know what's gonna happen.
I know what's gonna happen because
Like,
I can't spoil. Yeah, this is the first time I can't spoil on the podcast. But no, yeah, I'm excited to see where it's gonna go for the next season because there's some pretty interesting stuff that happens next season, and then season 3 is also renewed as well. So for you, Tom, I do understand the feelings of is it gonna get too overwhelming with so many characters that we have to remember from the previous stuff. Yeah, it can get a bit overwhelming, but the choices that they've made for this season are very smart and very direct, like what they wanted to show. So, for example, there was a big villain. No, is he a big villain? He's a nothing villain in the anime and manga called Don Krieg. I don't know if you remember this, but in one episode where we get introduced by Mihawk, there was a guy with purple hair and he was about to fight Mihawk. With the wanted poster, like he just scraps the wanted poster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, him in the anime and manga, he had like a big time fight with Sanji and everybody at the Barate. So he was supposed to be at the Barate. But no, it's the choices like they thought about with the pacing, which characters are going to be included in this. There's going to be a big few characters that we're going to have next season. I was just really happy you get to see a new perspective on this. Like, oh yeah, this is some of the information that we know as a current reader. Like, oh yeah, this is some of the stuff that leads up to that really nicely.
See, that's definitely something that I'm a bit apprehensive of because so the show is very technically impressive. The sets are brilliant, especially. I mean, those are just absolutely phenomenal. The makeup, costuming, all that stuff is great. The CGI is solid. The show looks very, very good, and it costs a lot of money to make. But obviously, you have the thing of it takes a while to make two. And so, season two, 3 years later, season three, hopefully not as long, but still, I don't think it'll be less than 2 years later. And so we have a problem here in that we're 40 episodes through and we've still got another 960 plus episodes. And you're talking about all this stuff that they've got to do. Like, surely they're not gonna make it. Like, surely they're gonna have to cut it off at some point and just say, here's the One Piece. Thumbs up, we did it. Surely this live action adaptation can't go the stretch of the anime or the manga. Surely.
Here's the thing. I think it's going to go to a certain arc. It's called Water 7. That's like the most important arc in One Piece. And if they wrap it up there, that's fine. It's not like a proper conclusion, but if they can go beyond Water 7, buddy.
In 30
buddy,
years' time,
what?
when Netflix is no more. Wait. What episode is Water 7-ish?
Oh, bloody hell. I need to go Crunchyroll then. Water 7 is episode 207.
Okay, so roughly, if we're following 40-ish episodes of the anime per one season of the live action show, roughly we're going to get to about 6 seasons. I mean, it seems doable. That's almost 20 years at this speed, but I guess that seems not too unrealistic. I mean, Netflix shows have got to 5, 6 seasons, so is streaming still profitable? I think a lot of it also depends on if this show remains profitable for them. They will continue it. I think they are not above cancelling a show like this or any of their shows. It all depends on the money. I wouldn't want them to start cutting corners, but Netflix, you do what you can. Maybe they'll have to use Luffy's powers a little bit less, but Luffy's powers, can I just say, confusing as all hell. Can he feel pain or what? Like, why can he take the force of a bullet or a cannonball and he's fine, but then someone will punch him and he's like, I'm so confused. Can he subconsciously be rubbery or does he have to use his consciousness to be rubbery? Like, how does it work?
That's very confusing to talk about because, fuck, God. Okay, later on, there's some things that happen.
Oh yeah, of course there is. Yeah,
there's something happen, and God. Okay, so I think it's just like that. I don't think it's just explained. He's just like, yep, I'll just take.
I'm thinking into it too much. I think ultimately this version of One Piece, it's like any live action remake. I can't speak on its accuracy, success as an adaptation, and it is enjoyable in its own right, but I just think that this whole trend of taking great animated works and doing them in live action to create some sort of warped sense of authenticity, I just don't see the point. The story exists as an anime and manga. It's already there to enjoy, and I don't know if that's in a superior form, but I would guess it is. And surely this budget and the incredible artists who are working on this and bring the show to life would be better spent on something new. It does feel like the only stuff on these kinds of streaming services that get renewed are the reboots and the live action remakes and the stuff that's been going on forever. And you just think, where's the space for anything new? I don't know.
I agree. It's there. The manga and anime is there, and it is pointless to do this. But I feel like if you wanted to get people onto One Piece, I think that's a great way to like just say, hey,
Sure.
This is a great way. But I feel like if you want to get into the full spirit of it, the manga and anime is there. I mean, we've got an anime adaptation coming up. It's called The One Piece, where it's going to be cut down, get rid of all the fillers, and get onto the story.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's going to be in the future. We haven't heard any news about that.
Right. So we got One Piece, the manga, One Piece, the anime, One Piece, the Western live action show, and then The One Piece, which is also an anime but is cut. Bloody hell. Fun.
Yeah,
okay.
There's
Sure.
so much source material that they have to go through. But I want to ask you, what were your favorite moments of this season?
I think in general the action was really solid. I enjoyed all those things, but there is a specific moment at the end of episode 7, which is where Nami says to Luffy, "Help me." And in that moment, he's completely dropped his optimism. He means business, and you wonder, is he going to feel betrayed? Is he going to say no? But that's not who Luffy is. Remember, this is Paddington of the Seas, and he says, of course I will. And then that builds with the rest of the crew all saying right, and the music. But I really enjoyed the music in the show. The music builds. I mean, even though the music sometimes is just weird cues, like the main theme, I just think is so great, and that begins to build, and they all look towards the village. And in that moment, I got it. It all just started into place. The wacky tone, one note characters, stupid dialogue, shoddy acting, cool action, zany aesthetics. It all just clicked. And I was like, you know what? Let's go. That was, I think, probably my favorite moment of the season. And with Luffy shouting, of course I will, is like, that's so stupid. Who the hell shouts like that in that moment? But it kind of works. So you know what? Like after that, I am definitely going into season 2 with a fair bit of excitement. Yeah, man. One Piece. I understand why there's such a fandom around it. I understand why it's so popular. Definitely in the comments, tell us if you are or aren't a fan of the anime or the manga. Tell us how you found the show and whether it works.
Ask me any questions as well.
John will clear anything up unless it's about how Luffy's powers work, in which case the answer is don't worry about it. Don't think about it.
I think there's other people that will know.
Yes.
Like they have researched into this. Great. That's also my favorite moment because that's when I first watched it. It's like a litmus test, like how you click with it or not. That moment to me, I was like, oh my god, now I see it. I know why people love it. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen next for the live action.
What are you going to give One Piece season 1 live action Netflix American out of 10?
I feel like a 7 or 8, but I'm going to go at 7.
I agree. I'm also going to go for a 7. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you're listening on YouTube and you enjoyed it, you can like and subscribe if you want to see more. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, you can follow and give us a 5-star review if you think we're worthy. And next week, it is something original, something very exciting. It's Pixar's latest, Hoppers, which I'm hyped for. I'm really interested.
Me too. Yeah, let's see where that goes.
Yeah, come on, Pixar. And you can send us an email at outtimefilmpod@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on Hoppers, and we'll answer it right here in the podcast next week.
Yeah, so you can follow us on Instagram at Out of Time Film Pod to see our incredible thumbnails from Zain, on Twitter for more thoughts from Tom and me, and TikTok to see edited clips, which are all also on Instagram, Reels, and YouTube Shorts. And you can find links to that all in the description below. Thanks to Elle for the excellent theme, and Ronan for logos as always. And I think that's everything. Take away given.
Give nothing back.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.